Thank you for joining me for a floor-based, gentle, relaxing, restorative yoga class. My name is Holly. My pronouns are she, her. This is a beginner-friendly class. It's all about using gentle yoga postures, yoga asanas, and easy breaths, pranayamas to relax the body. You don't need any fancy yoga props here. You can have a carpeted area or a yoga mat if you happen to have one. And then also some different, I almost said different colors, different shaped pillows from around your home. Again, they don't need to be fancy yoga bolsters, and maybe a blanket if you have that as well. This is a floor-based class, so you'll need to be able to get on and off the floor to enjoy, and that's all. We're going to start in a comfortable seated position. You can sit crisscross applesauce. You can sit with your feet in front of you. You can sit in Sukhasana, easy pose with one foot in front of the other. You can roll your shoulders forward a few times, backward a few times. And then in this first minute, just make any motions with your body that feel good. So our movements don't need to mirror each other here. You can do whatever feels good to you. And throughout class, I encourage you to move in a way that feels good to you. If something I'm suggesting or a way that I'm moving my body is not accessible to you or just doesn't feel right, you're always welcome to take a different variation of a posture, make a different shape with your body. You can skip a posture or breathing exercise entirely. You can always take a nap. Again, restorative yoga is less about like stretching or strengthening or balance. It's more about like the inner benefits of yoga, as far as when you leave, you want to feel kind of restored and relaxed and rejuvenated. All right. Now that you've had a moment to breathe and move, we're going to sit up nice and tall. You can place one hand over your heart space and one hand over your abdomen. If it feels good, you can close your eyes. You're also welcome to do a soft fuzzy gaze beyond the tip of your nose. Oh, good. I can hear you now, Margaret. Awesome. You can do a soft fuzzy gaze just, and I just muted you, sorry. You can do a soft fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose. You can also pick one spot on the floor or wall in front of you if that helps you focus and center. We'll just start with a few easy breaths in and out. Inhale through your nose. If it feels good, you can exhale through your nose or through your mouth.
Unmute.
Breathe in. Perfect. I gotcha. And Margaret, I can hear you, and I'm just going to mute you again because we're recording class, and that way you will not be recorded. Inhale. And anything you want to let go of, exhale. But the good news is, Margaret, your audio issue is fixed because I can hear you. Breathe in. And breathe out. At any point in class you find that your mind is wandering a lot, or your thoughts are looping, you are always welcome just to return to your breath in and out through your nose. And that's a wonderful way to center yourself back in the present moment. Okay, as you're ready, you can open your eyes, lower your hands, again, roll your shoulders forward a few times and backward a few times. In restorative yoga, we like to use props like pillows and blankets to help us feel extra supported in the postures. So we're going to start with a supported child's pose. You're going to start by coming onto your knees and feet. And if you have tight toes, knees, or ankles, you are welcome to either roll up your yoga mat a little bit if you have a yoga mat, or you can place a small blanket or pillow underneath any delicate joints so that there's extra padding there. From here, we can start to get creative with our props. You are welcome to place pillows or blankets in between your calves and thighs, and also on the floor in front of you if that feels good. And as you're ready, you're going to sink your hips back and reach your arms forward. You are welcome to have a pillow under your chest or head. You can have your arms forward and long. You can also have your arms down by your side. You can have your forehead on your mat, or if it feels good, you can look to one side. And we're just going to hold here for a minute. If you're looking to one side, you might gently lift your head and look to the other side. So both sides of your neck are stretching out. These final few breaths, let your body get a little heavier. So you're just relaxing into the posture rather than forcing or fighting. Think about softening through your toes, your hips, your chest and jaw. So you inhale, feel your ribs gently expand. As you exhale, feel your ribs contract. Breathe in and empty out. Good. Gently lift your head, look forward, walk your hands in under your shoulders, and at your own pace, lift yourself up so that you're sitting up nice and tall. You can remove any pillows that you have from under your body and set them to the side. If your mat was rolled up, you're welcome to unroll your mat. And then at your own pace, you can turn and make your way onto your back for Savasana. And again, throughout our restorative practice, we'll use props to relax the body and help the body feel supported. So if it feels good to you, you are welcome to place a pillow under your head, under your knees or feet, or even under your lower back. And especially if when you lie on your back with your legs straight, it starts to hurt the lower lumbar spine, you are welcome again to place a small pillow or blanket under your lower back, and or you can bend your knees with your feet on the floor, knees resting together, and that will also take some pressure off of the lower back. So there's lots of options there. In our day-to-day life, we don't tend to lie on a hard, flat floor, and it might seem, maybe like counterintuitive that lying on a hard, flat surface would be relaxing, but the floor is also a big prop, especially in this class. We're allowing the floor to hold us up. And sometimes lying on a straight surface like this helps to realign the body. Next, we're going to wake up our shoulders and spine a little bit more. Bend your knees if they're not already, so your feet are on the floor. You can roll off to one side, maybe even give yourself a hug. And at your own pace, gently press yourself up into a seated position. So you're going to sit forward facing me, and I will face you. You're going to take a few pillows here to one side of you. So I'm going to teach this with the pillows to my right. You're going to have one pillow for your head and one pillow for your spine. I like to have a little space underneath for my arm to go. And you might have a pillow to your left as well. You're going to come onto your side with, if it feels good, your right arm underneath you. If you'd like, you can place pillows or blankets in between your knees as well, so that there's extra support there. You are welcome to have your left hand on your pillow, on the floor, or if it feels good, bring it overhead for more of a shoulder stretch. So this is a very subtle extension to the left side body, compression to the right side body, and it's a shoulder opener. If you've ever done 26 and 2 yoga with me, that posture at the beginning of class where we're like, open your chest like a flower petal blooming, come down, push, 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 right? This is a restorative, very gentle version of that. So it's gentle extension to one side of the body, gentle compression to the other side of the body. Again, if your left arm is overhead, it's also a nice shoulder opener. I like to have the pillow in between my knees because it lines up the hips so that they're not internally rotating. They're just nice and even. From here, we're just going to hold for 3 minutes. In restorative yoga, again, we're using asana, the postures, and pranayama, the breaths to relax the body. Some styles of yoga are focused on balancing on a foot, balancing on your arms, doing deep back bends. Maybe they're focused on strengthening the body or creating more mobility in the joints. This style of yoga is all about using the postures and breath for the more mental, emotional, and spiritual benefits of a yoga practice. So we're rejecting the notion that you need to like push yourself to your limit in order to gain benefits from a yoga practice. If all you do today is show up on your mat and take a breath, know that that is enough. And if that is a difficult idea for you to accept, that you're worthy of rest, that you don't need to prove yourself here, then just let this be a practice, right? Maybe a challenging practice, and letting go of the need to perform or to push yourself. And instead, let this class just be an invitation to slow down, take it easy, and listen to what your body is telling you. You have an option to stay here in your side body stretch, or we can turn this into a very gentle spine and abdominal wall twist. So again, you're welcome to stay here, or if you'd like, you can slowly at your own pace, bring your left arm underneath your shoulder, lift your head, unslide your right arm from under you, and you're going to turn your abdomen down towards your pillows so that the hips stay stacked, but the torso faces down. You can have your arms bent cactus-like goalposts. And for your head, you can bring your forehead to your pillow. You can look to the left in the same direction as your knees. Or if it feels good, you can take this into a full spine twist and look to the right. Left ear on your pillow, so you're looking away from your knees. For me, that's too much of a neck twist, but for some folks, it feels really good. Again, our bodies are different, our life experiences and even just our day has been different. So the shapes that we make with our body do not need to mirror one another. If you're in this spine twist, so just a subtle way to stretch out the back. It's also a subtle abdominal wall twist, good for digestion. And then we'll just hold here for 3 minutes. If you ever need to adjust the shape that you're in to make it more comfortable, you're always welcome to add or remove pillows or go back to a different shape or take a breath, take a break. And then just find your way back into stillness. I really believe that like consent and an enthusiastic yes is part of a yoga practice. And part of consent is, you might say like, yes, I agree to do this yoga posture. And halfway through, if it doesn't feel good, true consent means that you can say no at any time. So if at any point you're doing a posture and you're like, you know what, this doesn't feel great, you're always welcome to take a different shape or just lie on your back or in another shape in Savasana, or just take a break until you feel good and want to hop back in again. But there's nothing that you have to do in this yoga class. And just because you decide to try a posture or breathing exercise doesn't mean that you need to continue it if it's not serving and supporting you. In our final 30 seconds, you might just observe how your body is moving with your breath. With every exhale, sink a little deeper into the posture. And if at any point you feel really good and you just want to take a nap for the rest of class, you're welcome to do so. At your own pace, we're going to slowly come out of this posture. There's different ways to do that. I recommend going slow. I'm going to walk my hands in underneath my shoulders and slowly press yourself up into a seated position. Keep your pillows where they are. We're going to go to the other side, but first, if you want to take a little stretch break here and move your shoulders and neck in any way that feels good, you're welcome to. It's kind of a moment to freestyle here. You are welcome to keep your pillows as they are and simply turn the other way. I am going to move my pillows so that I continue to face you, but you are welcome to just shift which way you're facing. Take the other side of this posture. Keep in mind that we're not symmetrical, so this side might necessitate a different shape or different props. At your own pace, you're going to lie on your left side torso with your knees stacked, and you can place a pillow in between your knees to keep the hips square. You can bring your left arm underneath your body. Make sure that your head is supported, it's not leaning off. You can keep your right hand on your pillow, on the mat, maybe a hand on heart if that feels good, or you can bring your right arm overhead for a right side stretch. And again, you might find that this side of your body feels way different from the other side. So if you need to make a different shape, add or remove a pillow. Maybe on one side you have your upper arm overhead, and on the other side that's too much of a shoulder opener, right? These are all options for you to take. And we'll just settle back into our stillness once you've found a shape that feels pleasant, and breathe through your nose. There's an area where you're tensing or holding some tension or even emotion, you might very lovingly turn your attention towards that part of your body. Maybe just send a few breaths there. The hands unclench, the abdomen relaxes, the thighs soften. Sometimes I find that if, for example, my shoulder is tight, I'll bring my attention to my shoulder, I'll do some breaths, I'll even tell my shoulder that it's safe to relax. And despite all the different tips and tricks that I picked up over the years, sometimes we just still carry tension in our body, right? And that's okay. When I find that there's a place that I'm clenching or tensing and I just can't quite release it, it can be helpful to use a little bit of imagination and creativity. So you might just imagine what it would feel like, what it will feel like one day for that shoulder to relax or that jaw to release. And sometimes just envisioning that is enough. It gives us maybe a little bit of hope and curiosity for our next yoga practice, especially in a world as adults where we're not always invited to imagine or be creative. It's also just a nice kind of muscle to flex in your brain about envisioning something for yourself. You have an option to stay here in your side body shoulder stretch. Or if it feels good, you can try the spine twist, abdominal wall twist on this side. So at your own slow pace, you're going to bring your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Press that hand down, gently lift your head, take your left arm out from under you, and you're going to turn your torso down towards your mat, keeping your hips stacked. And again, you can have your forehead on your pillows. You can look to your right, so in the same direction as your knees, or you can look in the other direction of your knees, looking to the left. You can have your elbows cactus, like goalposts, or down by your side, up overhead, whatever feels right to you. I'm going to take a little bit of a different variation with my arms on this side, with my hands in and my elbows out. And there's so many options. And then you can just snuggle into this posture. This is a restorative yoga class. You might consider what it is that you'd like restored in your life. Maybe joy or laughter, or peace or rest. Whatever that comes to mind. Let everything you do in this class be an embodiment of that, or a gesture towards that which you'd like to be restored. This final 30 seconds, you can experiment with maybe a shallow breath or a deep breath. Just know that there's no right or wrong, the same way that there's no one right or wrong way to practice a yoga posture. There's also no one right or wrong way to breathe in this class. Shallow breaths, deep breaths, everything in between, they all have their own advantages to them. And a lot of this class is just parsing out what feels good to you in this moment. As you're ready, you're going to walk your hands in underneath your shoulders. There's no rush. Press your hands down and slowly lift yourself up. At the top, you can make any other movements that feel good to your body. Remove the pillows from under your mat. You're welcome to keep a pillow or two for underneath your legs, your head, your lower back. And then as you're ready, you're going to turn and make your way back into Savasana. I encourage you to make this class your own. So I'm just going to have a pillow under my knees here just for fun, just because I can, and a pillow under my head because that sounds nice. And once you're lying on your back, start to feel your body on the floor. Notice what parts of your body you're touching the floor. What parts of your body you're touching fabric, whether that's pillows or your clothing. Or maybe where your skin is touching air. At your own pace, you can bend your knees and roll off to one side, maybe the side you haven't rolled off to. Press yourself up. We're going to sit facing forward for a moment. At the halfway point of class, I'm just going to invite you to take a moment here to bring your arms out wide in a big expansive gesture. And then give yourself a big hug. And if it feels good, you can massage your shoulders, your neck, your head, anything that feels good to you. Just take a moment here to self-soothe. Great. Next, we're going to do a hip opener that's also an inclined posture. Depending on how many pillows and blankets you're working with and just what feels right for your body, this can be a high incline or barely an incline. So for me, this one takes a little bit of trial and error with your pillows, but you're going to sit facing away from your pillows and make an incline with your body. Can also help if you have a small space like I do and there's a couch nearby. You can even kind of lean your pillows up against that couch. From here, bend your knees, feet on the floor, and start to lower back. And again, you might need to experiment with how many pillows to put under your lower back versus your middle back and then your head. Make sure your head is supported in this incline. And from here, you are welcome to simply keep your knees bent with your feet on the floor, or you can start to open your knees apart so that it's a hip opener as well. And I am also going to place pillows underneath my knees, so there's support there as well. The more you bring your heels in towards your groin, the deeper the hip opener. The more you bring your feet away from your body, the less of a hip opener. And again, placing pillows or blankets underneath the knees or hips can also be a nice support system. Great. From here, you can close your eyes. Or if it feels good, you might look towards the ceiling or the wall in front of you and just pick a spot and hold there. You can also do a soft, fuzzy gaze beyond the tip of your nose. I like to give lots of options. If the options are just overwhelming and it's too many choices for you, just ignore what I'm saying and make a shape that feels good for you. But for some folks, I know it can be helpful to have different options. So take what works, leave the rest. I'll say that again, take what works, leave the rest. From here, you're welcome to have your arms down by your side. You could have your arms out perpendicular to the body, so there's a little bit more of a chest and shoulder opener. You could even place your hands on your hips or your heart space and abdomen if that feels good. Lots of options. And we're gonna hold here for 10 minutes. We're already like 2 minutes into it. So sometimes in restorative yoga, you'll hold postures for like 10 or even 20 minutes. Sometimes, people ask like, what's the difference between yin yoga and restorative yoga? They're both slow-paced, floor-based. They both utilize props, but to me, at least, the difference is yin yoga is still focused on the physical benefits of like deep tissue stretch. So there's points in a yin class where you might hold something for 5 minutes, and at a certain point it gets a little uncomfortable and you're learning to breathe through that. Versus in restorative yoga, yes, of course, we're opening and moving our body, but it's really about feeling relaxed and supported the whole time. So if at any point these postures do get uncomfortable, you are, again, welcome to take a break, add or remove a pillow or blanket. You can make a different shape with your body, and then hop back into your stillness. Sometimes, especially I think in American culture, which is like very individualistic, and we really pride ourselves on like self-sufficiency, and there's a lot to be said for that, but we're a little bit less of like a collective or community-based oriented culture. And sometimes that means that we're not very good at asking for help. We're like not taught in school how to rely on other people and be reliable for other people. It's more focused on like helping ourselves and relying on ourselves. So I actually think, as silly as it sounds, a restorative yoga where you're relaxing into the floor, into pillows, into blankets, is sort of a meditation on asking for help and accepting help. And it starts simply by like relying on your pillows and blankets, right? And just knowing that they'll support you. But maybe this is, a practice that can then kind of blossom in other areas of your life, whether you're allowing a couch or a chair to support you, or maybe a friend to support you, a family member, a doctor, a therapist, right? But maybe that just starts here, like you're planting a seed just by allowing the floor, the pillows, the blankets to hold you up. Hold here for 5 more minutes. And if you want to take a nap, you're welcome to take a nap. Picture your spine getting a little longer, the lower back, middle back, all the way through the
upper spine to the crown of the head, lengthening and realigning. If you're in the hip opener, imagine your hips softening. Hands and feet get a little heavier. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in the body. Try to relax into the posture. And if there's a part of your body, or maybe a part of your heart or your mind, your spirit, still feels a little tense, and you can just imagine what it might feel like to let go of that thought or that judgment or worry, or to release that muscle that's still a little tight. Let's take 3 more slow breaths. Your knees are open in a hip opener. You can bring your knees back together. I'm actually going to place my hands outside of my thighs with the help of my hands. Knees together, good. Feet on the floor. You can put your hands kind of underneath your hips or back and gently press yourself up. Sitting up at the top, we're going to go into a counter stretch here. You might place a pillow underneath your knees and then some pillows or a pillow in between your thigh and chest. And then you're just going to fold forward. For this forward fold, you're welcome to drop your head, which kind of makes your spine round like a cashew, or you can keep your back flat by wedging more pillows in between your abdomen and chest.
Keeping the back flat is a better option for folks with history of slip discs or some lower lumbar spine pain. That way we're lengthening from the lower back without putting too much pressure on it. Again, you're welcome to have your back be flat, either with your hands folded in front of you or down by your side. Or if it feels good, you can let your spine kind of round and let your head be heavy. And we're only going to hold here for 2 minutes. Apart from stretching the back, this is also a gentle hamstring stretch as well. You might, again, experiment with a shallow or easy breath, or maybe a more deep, long breath. Remember that there's no right or wrong answer. You know, a 1 or 2 or 3 second breath, that's how we kind of breathe throughout our day. And we do that for a reason, right? We don't always need like super highly oxygenated breaths, but sometimes in a yoga practice, it can feel really good to intentionally slowly breathe and even fill up the lungs, and then intentionally slowly exhale and feel the lungs deflate. You can always experiment with both. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Gently lift your head and place your hands outside of your hips and slowly press yourself up into an upright position. And remove any pillows or blankets you have. And then lie on your back in Savasana. And again, if you'd like to keep a pillow under your head, under your lower back, under your knees or feet, you're welcome to do so. Or you can simply lie on the floor so everything really stretches out and realigns. No right or wrong answer. Ten people can read the same book and have wildly different takeaways from the book or different life lessons. One person that might be their new favorite book. Someone else is like totally bored, or they, don't like it at all. And this is also true with like our bodies and what we put into our bodies and what we do with our bodies, right? Like 10 people could eat the exact same thing and have wildly different body shapes and experiences with that food, right? Someone might be allergic to it. Someone, might feel like really good from eating that same thing. Someone might slim down or gain weight or add muscle, right? Like, and that's also true with yoga postures and breath work. I think like we can all do the same
postures, and someone it might be their favorite posture, and someone else it really gives them pause. And for someone else, oh, it feels so good, and someone else, you know what, this is like hurting or doesn't feel sustainable. So as a reminder, our bodies certainly do not look or act the same way that our brains don't look or act the same, right? When we read a book versus when we eat food. That's also true with our yoga class. Our postures don't need to look the same. Our breaths don't always have to be at the exact same pace. There's so many options within a yoga experience, and really just within like your life in general, right? Our actions, our thoughts, our breath work, they don't need to mirror each other. And again, if all the variations or options I'm giving are just kind of like overwhelming, then ignore that and just do what feels good. But otherwise, I like to share some different options so that hopefully everyone can find shape or a breath that works for them. That's the hope, at least. And of course, if I don't name something, but you've discovered a shape with your body that feels good, dig into that, right? And maybe tell me after class so I can share that next time. Always looking for new tips and tricks. Okay. You're going to bend your knees if they're not already. Roll off to one side. At your own pace, press yourself up. Next, we're going to do a supported back bend. For this posture, you'll want a couple different pillows. You're going to sit facing away from your pillows with one or two big-ish pillows for underneath your middle back, and then one or two pillows for underneath your head. And as you're ready, you can lie back. So the idea here is that it's compression to the spine and opening to the front of your body, but you don't want your head to hang all the way off. So make sure that you have support for your head and neck. Again, I have a relatively big pillow underneath my middle back, and then two kind of like small pillows for underneath my head. So the head is not hanging off. Okay, you're also welcome to grab a blanket for over your body if that feels good. You can keep your knees bent with your feet on the floor. You can also have your legs straight if that feels good. You can have your arms out to the side, cactus. You can place hands on heart or just hands down by your side. Lots of options here. And then as you're ready, you're going to make your way into stillness. We're going to hold this for 5 minutes. There are so many different back bend variations throughout yoga, particularly in a world where we tend to hunch forward over, we sit at a desk all day, we hunch over our work, over our food. We have little kids over our kids. The number one thing we hunch forward over our phones, right? Our cell phones. So back bends are really healing to the spine to move the vertebrae in the other direction. We also tend to carry some tension in the front of our body. So back bends are also really healing to like the shoulders, the chest, the abdomen, the hips, where we can be a little tight. Again, there's so many different types of back bends. Some of them are standing, some of them are seated or kneeling or on one foot or on one hand or even on our head, right? There's so many different back bends. They all have different benefits, but I really like this one because it's supported. You know that you're not like going anywhere. Sometimes in back bends, you really have to pay attention so you don't like fall over or twist out or get dizzy. But here, right, you can rest into the floor, relax into the pillows, soften into your breath. So you're still getting that healing compression to the spine and that gentle release to the front of the body without having to like keep track of where you are in time and space. Eyes can close, breath can slow. All you have to do is breathe. Let's take 3 more slow breaths here. There's no one right way to come out of this posture. You could roll out, you could push yourself up. I will share with you my favorite technique. You're going to bend your knees with your feet on the floor. Keep your head resting on the pillows under your head. Press your heels into the floor, squeeze your butt, lift your hips, and remove the pillow or pillows from underneath the lower back. And then at your own rate, you can lift your head and remove pillows from underneath your head. I'm going to keep a pillow underneath my head for final Savasana. Again, you're welcome to have pillows under any part of your body that feels good. You can place a blanket over your body if that feels nice. You can open your arms and legs as much or as little as you'd like. Take a nice easy breath in through your nose. And out, can be through the nose or the mouth. Whatever feels cleansing and restorative to you. We've built in a long Savasana here, so there's no rush. This is part of the hour that you've carved out for yourself. And to me, this is the most important yoga posture that we do. Truly restorative, right? Letting the body realign. So you let the floor hold you up. I was at a camp last week in Idaho, and I feel like a thread through camps is that like there's really funny mugs there, like coffee mugs that people have brought over the years, and some of them are silly or really old, like you'll see like a 1993 family reunion mug, or some of them are boring or plain. And every once in a while you'll find a mug that you kind of attach to, and I found this mug that was like a Gemini mug, which is my, astrological sign, and other people said it looked kind of weird, but that endeared it to me even more. So rather than, putting the mug with the other dishes where the kitchen staff cleans them, I kept that mug so I wouldn't lose track of it. And so I was washing it throughout the week and making sure I didn't lose this mug. And at the end of the week, I asked the site director if I could take it home with me as a souvenir, and he said, please do. We have way too many mugs. And I was like, great. And then I like put the mug in my carry-on and wrapped it up so that it wouldn't break. And then when I got home, I like just mindlessly kind of like took what it was wrapped in out of my bag, and the mug broke after all of that care and intention and work throughout the week. And sometimes I feel like that's the end of a yoga practice, or what happens after a yoga practice, where we take so much care and intention with our bodies, with our hearts, with our minds for our hour-long yoga practice or whatever it is we're doing. And then at the end, or right after class, we get up and we kind of go back into like rush mode or hurry up mode, or just kind of lose that intention. So in these final moments of Savasana, and maybe even for the rest of your evening, if it feels good, I invite you to keep this relaxed, slow but steady state. So for the rest of your day, remember that there's no rush, nowhere you have to be. Maybe even if there is a place that you have to be, don't beat yourself up if you're a couple minutes late. Go at your own pace. It's not just a gift you're giving to yourself. I think it's a gift you're giving to other people as well. When you're a little bit more calm and cool and collected, it's a little bit easier for other people around you to be a little bit more calm and cool and collected. So this is a gift that you're giving not just yourself, but your greater community, maybe even your future self, right? Like The you tomorrow will thank you for the you today for slowing down a little bit. Breathing in, breathing out. Inhale, exhale. Keep it simple. Do your practice, and all is coming. When you do decide to get up, I encourage you to get up slowly, mindfully, with intention. Sit up for a while before you stand up, especially if you have low blood pressure, right? We've been on the floor for a while. Make sure that you're drinking lots of water throughout the rest of your evening to replenish yourself after this nice stretch. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Hope to see you all soon. Bye, friends.